Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasty, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner, operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our podcast today. Now, if you've been listening to our show, what we do is we take an individual film and we have a conversation. We may do a little bit of critique and analysis, but it's a fun conversation about the films that we love, which are the Hammer Studio films. Now, most of the films that we're going to be talking about in this program will be from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but eventually we will get around to the more modern day films that I'm sure that you may or may not have known existed. The more popular films were, of course, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, so we're going to touch upon those, but don't fret. As long as you stay with our program, we will eventually get around to some of the more modern films. That being said, I like to talk and bring on my new, or not my new guest, but my guest for this evening's program, or this day's program, and that is Jim Adams. We want to thank him for joining the program for today.
Hey, yeah, well, there's no truth to the rumor that I only do found footage films. So, no, I love a Hammer. I do just as many Hammer films as I do the others,
So yeah, if you're not familiar with Jim, he has his own show, Monster Attack, which is another amazing podcast in which he delves deep into movies about monsters, movies that contain monsters and are classic movies for the most part. But this program here in Conversations in Horror, our parent program, allows him to talk about everything else, and we are so glad to have him here. So, the film we're going to be talking about today is from 1963, and that's Paranoiac. Hopefully I said that perfect, because sometimes
that's exactly how it's pronounced.
Sometimes I have a problem saying it, and for everyone who's listening to the program today, I actually have not seen this movie a lot, but it is one of my favorite of the black and white and the older films from Hammer, so it's going to be good to talk to someone about this, because I have never talked about this film to anyone. So,
all right, yeah, I did one show on this many years ago, but yeah, you're right. This one doesn't get a lot of talking, and it didn't get a lot of airplay when I was a kid growing up. When Hammer started really coming in and hitting the airwaves of my monster shows and stuff, and CBS late night and stuff, you didn't see this one that much. I was actually into about what I call my VHS years before I saw this film for the first time.
Oh, really?
So I was into my early adult years before I finally saw it. And I'm a big Oliver Reed fan, and this is one of his very early films. We've talked about his werewolf entry into Hammer films, which was his film debut, overall film debut, and this one came right on the heels of that. So,
what's funny is I absolutely loved Oliver Reed's character in this movie.
Oh, he's great. He's so great, man.
Movie. And I had forgotten that until I rewatched it for the program. I was like, oh shit, I forgot how much I loved Oliver Reed in this movie.
That's right. He definitely carries the film.
I don't think he carries the film. I think he steals the film.
Yeah, he steals the film. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Yeah, he really does steal the film. Yeah,
I think he relished playing this character. It's a despicable character, but it's so like it's such a far cry from what he did in Curse of the Werewolf.
Oh yeah, no, I mean this one you never see him without a drink. He's either going for a drink, pouring a drink, drinking a drink, but I don't think there's any time in this movie where this man is not drinking. Which and again, I don't want to speak ill of Oliver, but he was a hard drinker and a partier, and I think this character he must have had a lot of fun playing him.
So I have to say this because only noticed it this time I was watching the movie that his character in this movie reminds me so much of Billy in Creep Show that is played by what's her name? Oh my God, Adrienne Barbeau, where she's drinking the entire time. And
yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, I can see that.
I was like, oh my God, these two was I had a blast, and I met Adrienne Barbeau once. I had a little short discussion about that and how much she loved playing that character because it was so different than what she was what she was.
That's right. Yeah, she was always playing the good little girls usually a lot of times.
And I kind of saw the same thing here with Oliver Reed. I was like, oh my God, he's having so much fun playing this character.
Oh, he's such a reprobate in this. I mean, his family his mother and father have been killed in a plane crash. All this money, they're living in this mansion. You've got a brother and a sister, and the brother commits suicide. So it's now basically he and his sister and their Aunt Harriet, not to be confused with Batman's Aunt Harriet. This is a totally different one. And they're waiting for the time period where they all collect their estate. Right now it's being, it's in a trust where they're issued so much money every month. I think for Oliver Reed's character, it's like the equivalent of $100 a month or something like that, which wasn't that bad for 1963, but not if you're drinking drinking brandy like every 5 seconds. It's he establishes very early in this that he's gets extra funds and things like that, and cons the executor into helping support his drinking a little bit more than he should.
Yeah, I mean, literally, he does nothing in this film other than drink.
He has no job or anything.
He has no job. He's like he knows he's one of those rich characters he knows he's going to come into a lot of money and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and he's spending.
I think it's half $1,000,000, or the equivalent of $500,000, if I remember correctly.
He's spending it before he gets it.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of, and part of that, and as you're watching the film, everyone, this whole family dynamic makes it much different than you might expect, because Oliver Reed's character, who is Simon
Ashby, yes,
Simon Ashby, doesn't really seem like he's a bad guy. He just seems like he's a rich guy who just doesn't have a care in the world.
He's just not very responsible. He's very irresponsible.
Completely irresponsible. And his sister Eleanor, they all think is crazy because she went a little crazy in theory after their brother died or committed.
Yeah, when Tony committed suicide.
Yeah,
and he was the oldest of. I don't know if they specifically say, but it seems like Tony was the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And that Eleanor may have been the middle child, and that Simon was the youngest, or it may have been Simon and Eleanor were reversed, where Simon was the middle child and she was the youngest. It never really is established. They're close in age, but
yeah, they never really established it. But my impression was that Tony was the oldest, and then Eleanor.
Tony was definitely the oldest. Yeah,
the middle child, and then Simon was the youngest. But
yeah, that was my first impression too. Yeah,
but not by a whole lot. I mean,
no, they're very close in age. And when the movie opens up, they're only 3 weeks away from doing the final settlement of the estate.
Yeah.
So and Aunt Harriet is figured into that. So she's also sort of got her eyes on the prize as well.
Yeah, but she has a weird affection or a connection with the Simon.
Absolutely, yeah,
and almost no connection with Eleanor. Eleanor, they all think is just crazy. So they placate her by having her have a nurse that's supposed to look after her, so they don't have to look after her.
Right.
But
what a nurse.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, the nurse is actually the girlfriend of Simon, who's
right. But nobody really knows that.
No, they don't know that. Simon got her the job just to keep an eye on his sister. But there are everyone knows that he's having an affair with her in theory.
Right. Yeah, it's no secret. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no secret. But he's also supposed to be having affairs with other people as well.
Yeah. Francois, young French And
And
even during
small,
the
yes.
movie, at one point, she says, "I'm not really a nurse," but
Yeah.
he's like, "No, no, no, you got to see this through now. Come on."
It's like a huge manipulation of what's going, and there are a lot of manipulations in this, you
Oh,
know.
there's so many. By the way, folks, if you've not seen this movie, we're going to spoil everything for you. So
Yeah.
just a warning, because there's a chance you might not have seen this one. Sometimes I think the name of the movie might turn some people off sometimes because they don't really. I don't know. Paranoiac doesn't really tell you what the movie's about. I don't think.
It doesn't.
I sort of understand where they came up with it, but it's not a good title for what this movie's all about. I don't think.
No, no, I don't think so either because I don't really see any of the characters being really paranoid.
Except for Eleanor.
Eleanor just
She's
seems to be, to me, she seems a little bit distant because she had a connection with her older brother.
yeah, yeah,
That connection's gone when he commits suicide, and
right.
he she thinks that he left her.
Yes, yes, she's definitely feeling
So
abandoned.
so it's almost like, and this could be right. They could have been even though we think that he's older, they could have been twins, and it's like having your twin die before
No, no,
you.
I think they established that Tony was the older
Yeah,
of the three. I got that impression that was almost like the business might get passed on to him or whatever. We don't really know what the business was, but the parents
yeah, we don't.
were they were flying in a plane somewhere. I don't know if it was a vacation thing or a business thing or whatever, but the plane crashed.
Yeah, the parents. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, she doesn't get paranoid. Like it's a small part where she might be paranoid when she thinks she sees Tony,
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
dead, but that doesn't play up very long because she thinks, I think, two times at the funeral and at the house, but
Yes.
revealed when she tries to commit suicide herself because she just thinks she might be going crazy and she just feels lonely in the house. She tries to commit suicide by jumping
Yes.
off a cliff. And
The
of course,
same way that supposedly Tony did.
yeah,
Almost in the very same place.
yeah, very same place. But then Tony arrives to save.
Yeah.
And
Say what? Wait a minute. Tony arrives, but I thought he was dead.
but yeah, you can think that if you've never seen the film, they kind of play it up very, very early that
Yeah.
Tony is alive, so to speak.
This comes as somewhat of a shock to the rest of the family, especially Simon reacts very violently to the fact that, oh my God, he's alive? You know.
Yes, yeah. He quickly almost runs over Tony with his car,
Yes, that's
and
right.
then he quickly leaves when he sees Tony. Like he's so shocked, he has to drive away.
Oh yeah, yeah, he gets out of there very quickly.
But those type of things, those misdirections in the script allow you to, after you know some of the reveals of the story, go back and rewatch it and appreciate how they crafted a lot of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so much great stuff is in the film. And the one of the things I really really liked about it is the growing relationship between Tony, who has returned, and that of Eleanor. Like
Yes, that gets pretty wild.
that
Yes.
gets pretty wild because originally you think that they play off the whole sibling thing,
Yeah, yeah.
but Tony ends up, even though there's questions about Tony, like
Oh yeah.
Aunt doesn't really trust him, and why should
Well,
she?
nobody does.
Yeah,
Everybody except for Eleanor. She's the only one that goes for it.
yeah, yeah.
And all
Eleanor,
so we have to think, okay, these visions of Tony that she's been seeing, was she seeing this guy? Is that who she's been looking at all that time? With the Tonys that show up from time to time. Um, and of course, you don't really know if she's just pretending, or is she really going crazy, or is this a gaslight type thing where they're trying to drive her crazy
yeah.
so they can just put her away and keep all the money? You really don't know. You don't know who the good guys or the bad guys are, except you feel Eleanor is sort of a victim here.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you do feel like you don't believe she's doing anything untoward.
yeah. I saw a little bit of Diabolique in this film.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
So if you really love, I'm a huge fan of Diabolique.
Yes. Another
Love
great
that, and
film.
you'll definitely see some of that shades in this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that's why I say this movie did need a different title.
But yeah, you've got this interesting situation where it appears that Tony and Eleanor are falling in love,
Hmm.
and they're supposed to be brother and sister. And Eleanor's like, "Uh-oh, now I shouldn't be doing this. I mean, this is wrong. I mean, I can't, And there's that builds to a head at one point in the movie too, where she almost loses it because she thinks she's falling in love with her own brother.
Yeah. But this is not. This is after. For those who haven't seen the movie, this is definitely after. It is revealed to the audience that
Yes.
Tony is not the real Tony, but is an imposter
No, he's an imposter.
hired by what's the
The
that
attorney, well, the executor's son. I mean, he's
executive son.
Cossett. Keith Cossett is the
Keith, yeah.
played by John Bonney. Is
Who,
the you might recognize him from some other British films, and then of course the older one is Maurice Denham, who I
mhm.
recognize from a lot of old British
Yeah,
films.
yeah,
And the Cossetts are handling the estate.
yeah. But the
Keith
youngest son,
apparently we find out is well, he's been maybe skimming a little off the top
yeah,
and fearful that he might get caught. And Simon knows he's been doing it, and of course he's been skimming some, so he can give Simon some extra money. He's got to cover that up. So Simon's sort of holding that against him and blackmailing him with that as well. And so yeah, so old Keith decides let's hire this imposter. We'll pay him. I forgot what he's going to pay him, like £100 a month or $100 a month to pretend to be this guy, and then he would be able to cover up the tracks of the money that he's embezzled.
yeah.
So yeah, there's all kinds of subterfuge going on here
There
all
is
over the
because
place.
the elder Cosset, Keith's father, has
Yeah, he
no
has no idea
idea,
what's going on.
and
Yeah,
he thinks that he is running a 100% clear cut, truthful client
yes,
there, and he doesn't like Simon because Simon's arrogant and all he wants is to drink, drink, drink.
right.
As the executor, he allows him for the most part because he knows that in 3 weeks he won't have to deal with him anymore.
That's right. Yeah, they can go spend their money, spend it all if they want to. He doesn't
Yeah.
care.
So the son is manipulating, like lying to his father. He's been stealing money from his
Oh my God, he's the bad guy
dad.
here.
And then he's also manipulating Simon because Simon doesn't know that the imposter's there. It's like there's a
That's right. He never lets never lets on to
every
Simon at all that he's done this.
no,
Um,
it's like they're all there's a lot of manipulation in this film.
yes, a ton of it. Yeah, because Simon is really shook up.
Yeah,
He is probably more shook up than Eleanor is that Tony has shown up, and that gets you wondering about that. Why is he so upset with Tony? And Aunt Harriet, through the dialogue. The dialogue is woven through this movie beautifully
yeah, I
to
think so too.
give you the information you need. But we find out with some things that Aunt Harriet says that Simon sort of blames himself for Tony's death, or that it's been an issue he's had, and it may explain why he drinks all the time
Yeah,
and he's so irresponsible, doesn't care about anything. That is a weird form of grief that has
yeah,
uh, totally dominated his psyche,
yeah, and
and
that's how you
so
that's the impression you have when you're watching Simon. He sounds
yeah,
like
yeah,
someone who blames himself for his older brother's death, and he's
right.
drinking himself into oblivion, and that's all. Yeah, that's kind of the character you have. And then, of course, Eleanor is the person who, after her brother's death, starts is not well mentally, and so you
Right.
think that the only one that might be mentally well is the aunt, but she's got her own crazy manipulations of the
Oh God,
family,
yes.
and it's one of those, it's such a nicely woven film that has even there are some, the main location being the house, there are some scenes outside the house that are
Oh
really
yeah. Well, I mean, we find out early on in the film that as children,
mhm,
Tony and Simon helped out with the church a lot. Simon was an excellent organist, played the organ in the church, and his brother Tony was a singer, a child singer, had a beautiful voice. And throughout the movie, we keep in the middle of the night we would hear this organ playing and this little boy singing.
Hmm.
And you wonder, okay, is this being done to drive Eleanor further crazy because she's going up? Because this estate has a pipe organ and that where Simon and Tony used to practice.
Yep.
So yeah, it gets a little crazy.
But
What's going on here?
it's only a little. It only gets a little crazy when the and Tony comes in and he starts
Yes,
investigate because Eleanor
right.
has always thought that it's just been in her head that she's hearing
You're
this.
right. She thinks she's just imagining it. That's right.
But our Tony, who's an outsider who doesn't know all the craziness of the family,
Right.
he starts to investigate. So it becomes sort of like a little murder mystery, actually.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and his investigation leads him to question all the other characters. And I'm trying to figure out if this is a good point where we go to where he goes to where the practice organ is the first
Well,
time.
yeah. I mean, because that happens, like about halfway through the movie. So I mean, you get a lot of this very early on,
Yeah, you get a lot of it. They don't waste
where he
any
glances in and he sees Simon playing the organ, and what appears to be a little boy singing. Although it's not, it ends up it's someone who's small but wearing a mask.
Yeah,
Uh,
it tries to kill him.
right, right. And we were it's revealed to us that there's a record playing, so the singing is on a record, and led to believe that might have been young Tony's. It might have made a record or whatever. He was that good
Yeah.
of singing these choral arrangements that Simon's playing. So now you go, yeah, okay, how does this all fit into all of this? This is a very, very dense story that will all come together at the end.
It actually does come together real well.
Yeah, yeah.
Surprisingly, because after I can't after all right, let's say when it is revealed that Tony and Eleanor have these strong feelings for each other and they
Right.
actually kiss in the film. Eleanor almost thinks that she's crazy because she should never have these type of feelings for her brother and all that type of stuff. But then that's when Tony reveals to her that he's not her brother.
That's right.
He is an imposter. And so you almost get the hint that maybe she's always felt this weird little connection with her brother.
There might have been, yeah, you don't really know. Yeah, you don't really know that there might have been a little more of a spark between her and the real Tony that she felt a little guilty about, and
Yeah,
this
well,
really brought it out.
yeah, it really brought it out, and it makes for a very interesting little dynamic because from then on, Eleanor is actually helping Tony. So
Yeah,
there's this other this I don't know at what point where she doesn't really trust all the other characters. I can't remember. I can't
it's
remember.
hard to say, but there is an attempt made on her life and on the fake Tony's life,
Yeah.
um, and we know that it's Simon who's behind it because we
Oh,
see
we
him.
did skip that part. Yeah, we skipped
Yeah,
that.
we know he's screwed with the car so that it nearly goes off the edge of the cliff, and that sort of brings a lot of things to the head because again now we're thinking, okay, Simon is just trying to drive everybody crazy or kill them or one, so he gets all the money
Yeah, that's
because
that's your that's what.
there's a lot of money at play here.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the things I liked about the film because what it does, it doesn't think that there's anything initially nefarious about Simon other than the fact that he just wants
Right.
more of the money, because he knows that with Tony there, he's going to get a lot less now,
Oh, a whole lot less. Yeah,
a whole
yeah.
lot less. So
That's why I think that it is that Tony is the older brother.
yeah,
That's why I felt like the movies was telling us that because he stood to get a pretty big piece of the pie there.
yeah, yeah. And I really love that scene because Eleanor and Tony are having this nice picnic right near
Yeah.
the cliff and stuff. It's really well done, and all of a sudden, the picnic ends, and he starts to clean up, and she says she's gonna move the car around. It's like, nice. And of course, she tries to move the car around, but the brakes don't work as she's backing up, and the car almost goes off the. Well, actually, it does go off the cliff, but it
Yeah, but
almost goes off the cliff. And then Tony
The
has
guard, the guardrail sort of,
guardrail. Thank you. The guardrail
yeah,
saves her.
prevents it from totally going off the cliff, but it's like just hanging by a
Hang there,
thread.
which is really cool because Tony grabs like a piece of wood,
Yeah,
a stick in the guardrail. I'm like, okay, and that's barely keeping the car there. You see, it's digging into the ground as Eleanor's climbing over the hood to get
right.
the and you know that's a really extremely well done sequence from Freddie Francis. And we haven't mentioned the director, but Freddie.
Oh yeah, Freddie Francis. Yeah, I was gonna. This is one of my favorite Freddie Francis films.
Yeah, I love that. I love that scene, and it just and what's funny is the aftermath of that scene, of course, because you know Simon who rigged the car to go off the cliff thinks
Yeah,
that by the time you know night comes, it will be revealed that they're both dead. He sees them being driven home
yeah.
in a
Here
car.
they are getting out of a car.
And he's like, he just goes crazy. And Francoise is there.
Francois.
Francoise, she's our French maid. Oh God, our French nurse. So she's there to see all this, and at the time she doesn't really realize why he acts that way, but she still does. She eventually does because even she is doing her own little investigating on the side.
Well, yeah, and I think she thinks Simon's going a little too far. She went along with the crazy thing a little bit,
You think so?
and of course she had the end. She was the nurse and all that. But now when she saw that Simon's willing to kill people,
Yeah.
that's a little bit more than she bargained for, and she's getting ready to pack up and leave him. I did want to mention that Eleanor is played by one of the more popular British actresses to appear in Hammer films, Jeanette Scott,
Yeah. Oh,
who
yeah.
also holds the distinction of being mentioned in one of the major songs in Rocky Horror Picture Show in the opening credits. You know, the big song that they mentioned, Jeanette Scott, and a few others. Of course, for those people my age, we grew up loving. Yes, I know. I fall in love with every co-star I've ever seen. But Jeanette Scott was in Day of the Triffids and also in Crack in the World. And we were all madly in love with her. She's a beautiful, beautiful gal.
No, no,
Had a somewhat short career, but really, really good at the stuff she did.
yeah, but you actually mentioned two of the films that I actually know her from as well. We did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So earlier in the year we did a special 50th and 75th anniversary. Hell, I can't remember the 50th anniversary for Rocky Horror Picture Show. And that reminds
50th for that, and
yeah.
Crack in the World was like 75. It was like a 1960 film, so I just did a show on that one myself for the 75th anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, and Day of the Triffids is one of my favorite British films of all time. So
I love Day of the Triffids. Yes.
Surprisingly, we have not done an episode on that. I need to put that on our list.
You'll have to sign me up on that. As a kid, that film made a huge impact on me. I
Yeah,
really
me
that
too.
film.
And I've seen all the
And the book is terrific. If you've never read the book, folks,
oh, it's a great book.
It's a really terrific book.
Yeah, I've read that one too.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
monster movies, me growing up, actually helped me read, because when I found out there were these movies were based on books, then I wanted to go read the book. So it made me a better reader.
I wish the same thing had been done with me, but instead I read tons and tons of horror magazines when I used to.
I did read those in comics too. You know, I got a lot of horror comics as well.
I didn't read classic horror books when I was younger. I actually read a lot of the more modern ones because I didn't go out like looking at bookstores for
Yeah.
those type of books. I just whatever I found in like the general stores and stuff is what I would read. So unfortunately, I wasn't reading like Day of the Triffids or the Midwich Cuckoos until much later.
Right. I would always see, if I saw it in the credit line in a movie, it was like, oh yeah, now this one's not based on, well, it's loosely based on a book that dealt with an actual crime that was somewhat loosely familiar to this storyline, or it involved a family and a lot of money, and people fight, and the siblings fighting for the money or whatever. But I've not read the book that this is supposedly based on, but they even said that it's very loosely based on. It was apparently a fairly famous story in Great Britain that involved murder and subterfuge and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting. Well, Jimmy Sangster, who wrote this,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
ton of other movies we've already discussed in the program.
Sangster, if it hadn't been for Jimmy Sangster, I don't know if Hammer Films would have been Hammer Films because he
Yeah,
wrote some of the greatest films that they shot
he
during
did.
this time.
He
All
did.
of the Dracula and Frankenstein stuff, and Jimmy proved to be a pretty decent director in his own right. He directed a few Hammer films himself in the early 70s.
Yeah, I think we mentioned some of those. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, the horror of Frankenstein comes to mind. That was when I remember talking to Veronica Carlson about, and she got a kick out of working with Sangster, which is he kidded around a lot, you know.
oh my God. So, horror Frankenstein. Jesus, we were talking about that not too long
Yeah,
ago.
not too long ago.
But oh God, I don't even know where we are now in this film.
Well, we're sort of getting to the everything's sort of coming to the point of attack now, where it
Oh
all
yeah, yeah.
comes
No,
together.
no. So, so we need to get to get to the part where um, uh, Tony and Eleanor return to the room
Hmm.
that they first saw the organ being played, and Tony
Yes,
act. Tony hears it again, and of course he goes down, and Eleanor follows behind him, and it's very interesting because they both
oh,
look.
we should mention that Simon breaks up with extreme
Oh
prejudice with Francois.
yeah, see, before we get to, yeah, let's go ahead and go back to that because Francoise is a very interesting character, and
Yeah,
we don't see enough of her, but we need to discuss her final scene because after she's kind of gotten this ideal of what Simon is like, and she
right.
has to
She
leave,
can't take it.
she can't take it anymore unless he changes because it is revealed that she's pregnant and she wants Simon to marry her, and he has
Right.
no no inclination to marry her.
No, I don't want to share the money with anybody, man.
He's like, I'm not sharing the money with anything. I'm gonna drink my money into
That's
oblivion,
right.
and he tries to manipulate her, which he ends up doing, saying,
Yep.
"Oh, I'll marry you, and you stay with me." And she says she won't reveal anything; that she'll just do whatever he tells her to do, more or less. And
Right.
then he still strangles her and
Yep.
kills her, even though she says that she will do anything for this guy,
Right. Right.
like anything. And that's
Oh,
when
but if he keeps her around, then he's got to sort of spend some money on her, and
yeah.
he's just not willing to do that.
And he's also not willing to be a grown up either. He's kind of
No, that's true. Yeah,
stuck in
that's the big thing.
yeah, you get the sense that he is stuck in this mentality of being this single playboy,
That's
dreaming
it.
in hell type of thing, doing whatever he wants to. And you see that earlier in a scene earlier when he's in the bar and he's just going off drunk and just giving drinks off to everyone his
Right.
so-called friends. But someone says the wrong thing and he threatens them with 3 darts,
Yes.
almost
Yeah.
stabs him. So you get that
Right.
sense that
He's
Simon's
got
not
quite a
like that.
temper. Yeah.
He's got a temper. But that's okay because it's Oliver Reed playing it, and he chews the scenery like nobody's business in this
Yeah.
movie.
Well, Oliver's own life, sort of went in a similar. I mean, he was very young when he died,
Yeah, he was,
relatively
no,
speaking.
no.
It was alcoholism that killed him, and or the after effects of alcoholism or whatever. But I mean, it was he died while we're making the movie Gladiator. He was the guy that ran the Gladiator School or whatever. And luckily, they had shot most of the scenes before that happened. But
Yeah, no.
yeah, but I mean, he was I think he was like 47 or something. He wasn't very old when he passed away.
Oh, really? I thought it was much older than that, but maybe I.
Maybe been early 50s, but I mean, it was relatively young.
Yeah,
The booze really, really, really took its toll.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Ugh. But getting back to that scene, so we had to talk about Francoise. But we get
Yes,
to the other scene in which Tony and Eleanor or watch uh
yes,
they watch Simon in his room playing the organ, and we hear the voice of the young Tony, and then
right.
see the person that he's talking to, and they can't believe their eyes, really. it's kind of like that. It says he's not the real Tony, and she doesn't think that he really killed himself. This is like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, because whoever this was doing the singing in there with Simon, it can't be the real Tony because it's a little kid. It's not, or it appears to be a little kid. It's not, he's not grown up like he's supposed to be.
Yeah, so it's really a disturbing scene like that. And then oh my God, with
We got the one big reveal. The first of the many big reveals comes
okay,
up
go
with
ahead.
who is the little kid,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that the singing's coming from a record
Yep.
because it skips a little bit, and we see him correct that, and then fake Tony and Eleanor realize that, okay, wait a minute. And it turns out it's Aunt Harriet
Yep.
with the mask on. She's been doing the charade with Simon all these years.
Yeah, Simon is so guilt ridden over her
Terribly guilt ridden. Yeah.
over his brother's death that he's been playing the organ and pretending that his brother is there singing with him.
Yeah, and I think apparently this particular piece is one that his brother was known for. That was supposed to be.
And it seems kind of tragic. It does.
It really does. Yeah, you almost feel a little sorry for Simon a little bit, but it's still like, but why does he feel so responsible for Tony's suicide? I mean, and then we sort of get the answer to why he is so upset with the Tony that's there and convinced that he's not the real Tony, which of course we know he's not, but it's still, for the most part, the attorney and everybody thought, they went for it because he knew so much about Tony's life and that sort of thing. I guess it leads us to our final confrontation between the false Tony and Simon, because Tony, at this point, it's no longer about money or anything like that. No. He is in love with Eleanor, and he says, I want you to come away with me. We're just going to go, screw everything else.
Yeah,
we're just going to go live our lives, and we'll make it somehow. I don't care about money or any of that stuff.
Yeah, they were on their way to leave actually until all this stuff happened.
Yes, yeah.
Which it goes to show you that all these people are connected with money, but eventually the imposter I don't even know if we ever really learned his real name. Actually, do we ever learn his real name?
No, he doesn't. We don't know his real name. We sure don't.
It just dawned on me.
No.
Like he's just Tony.
He's just Tony. Yeah, they just call him Tony through the whole movie. Yeah.
Oh God, that's so. Just dawned on me after as many times I've seen this movie. It just dawned on me, and I completely didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Well, so imposter Tony, we're going to call him now because it's been revealed that way. And Simon have an altercation, and it is
false Tony says, "Wait a minute, I know what's going on. I figured it out." He's sort of put it all together. Maybe we needed that outside set of eyes to figure it all out because the others were too close to it.
Too close to it. Yep. As they fight, I think it's Tony who backs into the organ, moving
right.
One
of the pipes comes loose.
Yeah, they're all decrepit and they're falling apart because they're so old, and they just break down. And they reveal the hole in the wall, and it's a cool reveal. Don't get me wrong.
It's a great reveal.
Because I'm trying to remember. Oh my God, I can't remember who digs it out. Is it Simon that digs out the hole, or was it Tony?
Well, there's a hole in the wall that allows Tony to see what's behind the wall.
Yeah.
And we see that it's a corpse.
Yeah, but
and it's a young corpse because Tony, the actual Tony, wasn't that old when he committed suicide, and it's his body back there. It's been hiding back there behind that wall for who knows how long.
I think it was 8 years. I think
it was 8 years. You're right. They do mention that specifically, that he had killed himself 8 years prior.
So, in theory, Simon kills his brother, stuffs him in the back of the organ, the place that they were both so familiar with.
Right.
And when he had these and we don't want to forget this. Aunt Harriet says that Tony had not relapsed until Simon had not relapsed to this point until the fake Tony showed up.
Right, when the fake that set everything off again.
Set everything off in Simon, and in Simon's just started going a little bit nuts at that point. And that's very interesting. It's very interesting kind of like reveal that had the fake Tony never came.
And Ed Harrod's the only one that really in the whole family was aware of the fact that Simon had killed his brother. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why she's playing this little charade. She's covering for him. She, I guess, felt sorry for him or whatever. Because apparently he wasn't that old. Well, let's see. I'm just trying to think. He couldn't have been all that. He was a teenager probably when he killed his brother, but he
Oh
wasn't.
yeah,
Wasn't
I
really
guarantee.
all
Yeah,
that
I
old.
think he was his teenager or something. Because 8 years.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be like. I was trying to figure how old he was supposed to be in this movie. Probably mid-20s. So that would put him around 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, so on
When all
Harry,
this
it
happened.
probably felt really bad that as a little kid, he felt like he had to kill his brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably, his older brother, the original Tony, got more attention or something because he was older. Who knows? I don't think they actually tell us
A
why.
lot, a lot of this seemed to be set off because the parents got killed in a plane
Yeah,
crash. I mean,
I think
that set a lot of things off.
no. So, which I do want to remind everyone that it's very interesting details the way this movie opens up. It's during
Yeah.
a church service that is a yearly thing that Harriet has manipulated
Yes.
down into doing in honor of the family. So every year, the church service kind of goes back and rehashes the history of what happened.
Right.
The
Remembering the
yeah,
parents. Yeah.
yeah. I thought that was a really great way of kind of introducing
Oh yeah.
audience to the world of the film and where
Yes.
everything stands, while also giving a reason for it. Like this is a family of means, of influence,
Right. Right.
of wealth, and they're respected within their own town for the town to continue to do this every year.
Yeah.
The death of the matriarch and patriarch, the originals. So that's just a detail I thought was really interesting in the film. But yeah, this is a well-to-do family, and from the outside world, there's nothing wrong with them, and they're all keeping all this craziness
Yeah.
inside, you know,
Right.
which is
And
why.
of course, it ends up being this big confrontation with now Simon. No, I mean Simon has known all along that the Tony that he's seeing right now is a fake.
Yeah,
because he knows where the real Tony is. Pulls him out of the wall, ties up the fake Tony, and sets the place on fire. But fortunately, Eleanor arrives just in time to let him go.
yeah, yeah.
And Simon ends up burning up with the corpse and everything else.
Well, it's interesting because Simon goes back in there.
Yes, he does.
To grab his brother's corpse. And
right.
His brother, his guilt over killing him, his guilt over burying him, the guilt of the last 8 years of his death is all taking a toll on him. And he ends up just kind of holding on to his brother's corpse and letting himself burn alive.
Just burning up.
Place, their room.
And that is so typical of Hammer films. If you look at a lot of Hammer films, a lot of them end up in things going up in flames. They really do. It's amazing.
It is. By the time we get to this, I think the only person that we don't really see is Aunt Harriet.
Right.
Yeah, she leaves the story to focus on the last couple characters after she reveals what happened to Simon.
And we don't really know what happened to the young executor, or the son of the executor.
Oh yeah.
But more likely he's going to get caught.
He's going to get caught.
It's going to all come out.
They'll all go to Eleanor because everyone's fucking dead.
Yeah, well, Harriet will get some of it too.
Harriet. So, but and the funny thing is, I always forget that the Hammer films just abruptly end. So
they just do, yeah. I mean, Jimmy Sangster scripts, they are very efficient. That's one thing I like about them, is they really are. They don't screw around. But here you got a very rich, detailed script.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like like Jimmy was cutting corners.
No,
very detailed story here,
shot.
But it just gets to the point, and it's you really are engaged in these characters. You want to find out why all of this is happening the way it's happening, and that's one thing that I think is a real strong part of the film.
Yeah, I do too.
You've got to see it through all the way to the end to find out how. I didn't know if I would like this film when I first saw it. When I saw just the thumbnail description of that, I don't know about this, but within those first 5 minutes, I was hooked. It's like, I got to see this one through. I got to figure out what's going on here. And it's a brilliant script when it comes to really pulling you in and getting you interested in all these people.
So the funny thing for me with this film is I bought this as part of like early Hammer DVD box set. And
Yeah, yeah,
this was one of the last ones I watched because it wasn't one of the Frankenstein, werewolf, or
right.
Dracula films. So this was one of the last ones on the set that I watched, and this one ended up being one of my favorites on the box set.
Yeah, no, really. Yeah, when I finally got to see it, it was like, wow, I really like this. Yeah, I mean, it is one of my favorite Hammer films.
And,
But I've always liked character. We've talked about this. I love character studies. I know you're into those, and this is a real. It's an excellent character study into this
yeah,
family.
yeah, and even though by at this time, well, I get by now in this day and age, a lot of films have used the same type of story elements and tropes. I think
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, the thing like I said, I really this one for me is like watching Diabolique. These two
Yes. Yes.
they're so rich in not only the cinematography and the way in which the characters are displayed, because I think Diabolique has like four characters in the whole movie. And to be
Right.
like, there's four characters in the whole movie. And it has to deal with a lot of manipulation between the characters, and I love that of this movie. I love that all the characters are so different, and they don't
Absolutely.
all know what the others are doing.
And they all have a secret.
Yes.
Every single one of them. Simon's got a big secret. He killed his brother. Eleanor's got her secret that she might have been a little secretly in love with her older brother. Might have been a little incestual thing going on there. And then you've got Aunt Harriet, he knows Simon's secret, knows who murdered Tony, and that it wasn't. Everybody's got a secret in this.
Yeah.
Even that the young attorney, he's got a secret because he's been skimming money. I mean, and how it all comes to a head. I mean, there's really nobody that's completely innocent in this. Eleanor's probably the closest
No, I
to being
think
maybe almost a completely innocent character, but even she's got her little secrets too.
the elder Cossack lawyer, the ex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, he's straight
He's
as an
the
arrow.
only
That's
straight. Yeah,
true.
he's a straight arrow.
Yeah,
He really
right.
doesn't care who gets the money. He is just literally doing his
No, but he
job.
was very concerned that Tony, the Tony
Yeah,
that shows up, was for real,
yeah. He
and
does
and
what
really gave him quite a grilling. And unfortunately, Keith had prepared him well enough so that he could answer all the questions that he needed to answer.
yeah, yeah. But yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed this film.
Me too. Yeah.
I hope, I wish, and I hope that more people will find it. Uh, but I think it's one of those films that gets buried like on that box set.
You can find it streaming. Now you might have to pay a couple of bucks for it, but it is available streaming. So
Well, let's hope that people search it out, because number one, there's we know there's a lot of people out there who aren't searching for those classic black and white movies, which is unfortunate.
yeah, yeah.
And the title itself does not lend itself favorably to be watched on like a random watch.
No, and this film did not do real well when it first came out theatrically, and that's probably one of the reasons I didn't see it on any of my monster movie shows, because it wasn't included in any of those packages. Because it didn't, it lost a little money when it was first released. It really didn't start developing a cult following until home videos started coming out.
Interesting. Well, as we delve deeper into all these Hammer films, we hope to uncover some stuff like that with this film and with other films, because the thing about Hammer films, that the majority of people out there will be really familiar with the main ones, the Dracula,
Right.
Frankenstein, the mummies, and even the werewolf and Gorgon movies. But the smaller movies like this seem to get overlooked or forgotten about or not talked about enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a shame, because there are some gems. I mean, there's some true gems out there that we hope to uncover here on the program. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, when it comes to Hammer, a lot of people just think Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee.
yeah,
And then some of the more popular women in there, like Barbara Shelley and Kate O'Mara and Caroline Monroe and
yeah.
Veronica Carlson and stuff. And they forget, Jeanette Scott and Oliver Reed, not too shabby.
No.
And Oliver Reed was in a bunch of he was in several Hammer films in his early career.
Yeah,
So
people forget about that though.
yeah,
It's like
they
the
do.
first thing that people think about when people think of Oliver Reed's name.
That's
His
right.
Hammer films, people don't think about. It's unfortunate.
Right.
uh, but we've discussed two of them already for the program. So,
Right.
all right. So, Jim, do you have any final words about Paranoiac for everyone?
It's an excellent character study
Yep.
type film, a nice thriller. Um, the whole idea of trying to drive a family member crazy so that you can get her part of the inheritance has been done, but this is done very, very uniquely and well in this.
Yes.
And I really tip my hat to Jimmy Saxer and of course Terrence Fisher, the director. We have
Freddie
mentioned him.
Francis.
Huh?
Freddie Francis directed this one.
I mean, I'm sorry, Freddie Francis. Not. Oh God, I do that all the damn time.
We,
Freddie Francis, who was he and Terrence Fisher were like the 1 and 2 directors in the early Hammer days. If Terrence didn't direct it, then Freddie usually did. And we've got some real Hammer royalty involved with this. So
yeah.
it's good stuff.
And it's one of the better looking films in terms of cinematography and everything else. I mean, it's impeccably well done. So
Absolutely.
With that, everyone, what we'd like to do on our program is we like to rate the movies between 1 and 5 stars. 1 being possibly poor as hell, and 5 being, we have to suck the blood out of every little bit of it because it's that good. Where on the spectrum, Jim, do you put Paranoiac?
Boy, I'm going between a 4 and a 4.5. I mean, it's really a very strong. I'm going to go with 4. I tend to be a little conservative. This is a real solid film. I think 4 out of 5 does well by it.
Well, I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 4.5. This is one of my favorite films. So I have to put it a little bit higher because I really love this film, and like I said, I really love these types of films.
And it plays well. This film is 60 years, more than 60 years old, and it still plays well.
It still plays well.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and people who have heard me talk about some of my favorite films, 60s has some of my all-time favorite films.
Absolutely.
And so this is one of the few Hammer films that usually puts it. Don't get me wrong, I love Hammer films, but this is like on my top 10 list. Top 10, top 15 list. This is probably one that's going to definitely be on that list because I really, my list consists of a lot of black and white movies. They do. I talk about and we've talked about Carnival of Souls and Diabolique and Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, The Haunting, the original, not that crappy remake. These are all.
Oh yes, yeah. I don't even talk about those other ones. Yeah,
these movies are some of my all-time favorite movies, and they're all black and white.
There's a real style to black, and one of my favorite film genres is film noir. Yep, I've always loved black and white films.
So that's why I rate it the way I do. That's not to say there's anything wrong about modern day films, because there's some great modern day films.
Oh yeah.
But the ones I go back to and I rewatch a lot, these old classic ones that are rich in character, cinematography and everything. They just like I could just sit down and enjoy a great movie. And
absolutely.
So, with that, I want to thank you, Jim, for joining us on Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. Everyone out there who's listening, we hope you've enjoyed the program. Please make sure to check out some of our previous episodes, as well as our future episodes, which appear every first and third Friday of the month. You can get the podcast on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. Please make sure to check out our original podcast, Conversations in Horror, which is every Wednesday at 8 a.m., where we delve deep into everything horror related. You're going to love them both. With that, I want to thank you all for joining our program today, and please make sure to leave comments, because we would love to know what you think of our program. We would love to know if there's some films that you would like us to delve into. Because we have a lot of great programs coming up, and we hope to have you here with us. So stick with us a little bit longer. You'll enjoy it. Thank you so much, and have a pleasant day. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.